Here in order. Ms. Owens, who's in a familiar seat, you know what to do.
Councilwoman Green. Present. Councilman Ford. Present. Councilwoman Cooper Sutton. Present. Chair Smiley.
All right. I think we have a few.
Warren present.
Hey, Dr. Warren.
You know,
Hey, guys.
I just want you to know that we send you all the love and get well wishes. We can't wait to see you back with us in person soon.
We need you back on that Segway.
Absolutely not.
I'll be back on the Segway. Don't worry about it.
No, we don't need you on that Segway.
I'm laying in my bed with my knee bending back and forth.
All right, so you're rehabbing yourself right now. All right, can we let the record reflect that Councilwoman and Attorney Janika White is here, who got a not guilty verdict in federal court, who's extremely ecstatic about it. All right, so we have the HR division with us today and give us their budget presentation. Chief Lachey, the floor is yours. There are some people with you. Please introduce them as well or turn the mic.
Good afternoon. I am Fonda Fouché, Chief Human Resource Officer. And to my left is James Jones. He's our HR Operations Manager. And to my right, Lynette Hall-Lewis, our Deputy Chief of HR. And we are here today to present three budgets, our General Fund, our Healthcare Fund, and our OPEB Fund. And first, we're going to get started with the General Fund. So first up, we have our org chart. We are a small and mighty team of 63 full-time employees. We have 7 legal levels: HR administration, talent management, total rewards, workplace safety and compliance, equity, diversity and inclusion, HR operations, and HR analytics and performance. This team supports over 6,800 full-time employees, over 1,300 part-time employees, and over 5,800 retirees. Our FY25 operating budget requests our strategic priorities addressed in this budget. Our priorities are based on Mayor Young's strategic initiatives, and our operating request will support his initiatives to include leadership, development, and retention strategies. Most of all, we are committed to providing best-in-class customer service to all of our customers and improving the candidate, employee, and retiree experience. We will also work to create strategies with divisions to hire for hard-to-fill positions. We will continue to support youth development by creating opportunities with our career pathways and urban fellows programs. We will support clean and attractive neighborhoods by recruiting talent and providing resources, and to ensure our employees have safety training on prevention and awareness, and support the thriving arts and culture by creating diversity recruitment initiatives, promoting an inclusive culture, and supporting employee resource groups. Next, we will go over our expenditures. Our FY24 expenditure bridge to FY25 request. Our FY24 adopted budget was $8,964,795. Our FY25 request is $10,498,515, which is a change of $1,533,720. But I do want to point out that $695,665 of that is due to an OJI, an accounting change. This is not a new city expense, but it's the cost to administer the program. Previously, we've always paid for the fees, but would do expense recovery. This eliminates HR having to do expense recovery, and these changes were decided by the previous CFO. The other increases include $336,000 in personnel services. That's mainly due to our potential raises and benefit increases. And then we have $478,000 in M&S, which is really our miscellaneous professional services, and that's to support our priorities in training and development and career pathways. On the next slide, this gives our program comparative spending by legal level. Administration, there's an increase of $144,000. That's driven primarily by the HR general fund raises. Talent management had an increase of $135,000. That is driven to increases to our career pathways program and leadership development. Total rewards has an increase of $910,000. That is where the OJI administrative change is also for pay scale and Lockton. And pay scale is our compensation software, and Lockton does our salary studies and surveys. In equity, diversity, and inclusion, there's an increase of $338,000. That's driven primarily by position corrections. Also, for our outside counsel that assists with our investigations and negotiations. The position correction didn't happen in FY24 when a position moved from talent management to EDI. We had a decrease in compliance that was due to a position correction, and the increases in operations and analytics and performance is primarily driven by benefits. FY25 year-over-year changes in expenditures. In personnel services, there was an increase of employees moving back to the choice plan, which we didn't offer the choice plan last year, and the decrease shows the employees that moved from the select plan to the choice plan. In materials and supplies, we have an increase of $408,391. That goes to our promotional testing, staffing, leadership training, the OJI admin and employment development, and HR consulting. And again, the expense recovery about the OJI admin change for a net change of $1,533,720. Next, we're going to talk about our revenue. The only revenue generated in the HR general fund budget is due to our AmeriCorps Vista program. We received $22,000 to support this program. This support grant provides funding to assist with personnel expenses, and there's no change from this from last year to FY25. It will remain $22,000. Next, we'll talk about our division detail information and our personnel information. The HR General Fund has a complement of 48. It shows 2 vacant positions on this slide, but actually we had one position that was filled on May 20th, and the other position is offer has been made and will be filled in June. So we have no open positions in the HR General Fund. Next slide. Materials and supplies expenditures. Our major M&S expenditures come to $4,350,417. Miscellaneous professional services being the biggest percentage of $3,129,653. Then we also have medicals, rent for our building for the floor that we rent in Union Extended, travel, training and education, and the others that I'd be happy to answer any questions about for the $4,350,000. On page 16, we have our account details, professional services. The biggest amount is for Cedric, that's who does our OJI claims administrative fees. We do have staff and support, but I would like to point out that $175,000 of our staff and support is for our testing proctors. We have about 83 proctors in our testing pool, and they come and work with us sporadically for our police and fire promotional testing. And then this just gives a list of all of our account details with professional services. Next is our account details with our leases. The general fund we have a lease of $124,000 at Union Extended. That's for the 3rd and 5th floor of Union Extended, where our talent management team is housed. Off the top of my head, let's see. For those 2 floors, about 12. Those two, 12 to 15 full-time employees, yes. Because I have nowhere to house them here. I have nowhere to house them here. And Union Extended, we looked at other places, and this was probably the most cost-effective place that we could find, because we also have the Total Rewards team there as well. Yeah, and train and space. Yes.
Keep going.
So any questions about the general fund?
Just make a general note that Chief Adams has some more on his plate. I know we have Councilwoman Green in the queue. Where's my?
You want me to go, Chair?
Yeah, go ahead and go. I'm looking for something.
I had one question actually about OJI in general. It's my understanding for police that they have to have a physical injury as well as a mental injury to receive OJI. Do you know about this policy?
Yes, I'm familiar with that policy, and we are also looking to change that policy because we do know that it does require a physical injury right now, but we want to look to include PTSD in that as well. We're working on that.
And I would love to work with you on that. I've talked to some people about it. I've done a little research. I am not a doctor, but I do know your brain is a part of your body. And since this was written, which was probably in the 70s or 80s, we've been able to do a lot in the way of brain scans, and you can see the physical difference in your brain when you have PTSD and when you don't. And it directly impacts your frontal lobe, which is the one that controls your decision making. And I would think that even more than being, shot in the arm or shot in the leg, we want someone's brain who is working out there in the field. And so anything that I can do to help you along that way, I know that there's been changes at the state level to remove the physical plus mental. But I think that when I think back to what happened with Officer McKinney and what the officers who were on the scene saw that day, and to deny that they were injured gravely, deeply from what they saw is a misservice of what we speak and say so much, is that we should support those people who are our first responders. So anything that I can do to help HR on that account, I would like to do it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I have a couple questions. I'm looking at the rent. Why did it jump from what it looks like $76,000 to $124,000 one fiscal year?
So we moved the testing team to the 3rd floor of Union Extended, and that is so they can do more testing at that facility instead of having to rent out venues to do some of the testing that we do there. So we were.
So where were they housed at first, or is it just for the testing facility?
They were on the 5th floor, but it was only just enough room for their offices. So we wanted space for employees to come in, like when we're doing sign up, or we may be doing a makeup. We may do an entry-level test that they can do, and so that way we don't have to go and get a facility.
So what were they doing? So at first they were just renting out different places to use to test, and now I guess this increase is just so we can have a permanent space. Well, it's not permanent because we don't own it, but we can have a space they're releasing to use.
Right, for some of our smaller tests, like some of our smaller testing, we can do it there instead of having to go somewhere.
How much space do we need to test, to do?
So it just depends on the test. It could, if we're doing it for like a makeup, we may can just do it in a conference room. If we're doing, say, a computer test, we may need to have a computer lab. So it just depends on the nature of the test.
Wiser minds beside me brought up a very good point, and I think Chief Adams knows what Vice Chairman Canal is suggesting. So I'm not sure if it's just your division. I think it's multiple divisions of this particular building. How many floors do we have? This is a Chief Adams question. Then I'm gonna come back to you in a second. Chief Adams.
actually asked that question earlier today.
So if someone said we have all but one floor, would that be about accurate?
No, I think maybe not quite. I'd say that we have probably 70% of the building.
Okay.
I mean, that's safe to say.
So about 70% of the building,
Yes, sir.
and how much are we paying the rent in aggregate?
I'll get that for you.
So would it be safe to say we're paying $250,000 a year for rent?
Easy.
Okay.
Easy.
So, is there a way that we could figure out the cost to find? Because we're paying essentially $1 million a year for rent. Seems like we should be using that money to acquire an asset.
You are definitely correct. I mean, I think I talked to your colleagues outside of here, and I really don't want to negotiate the price here publicly, but
Are we looking at something?
we've looked at it, and we look at it on an annual basis as far as acquisition of that location. One of the things that we do have to consider as well is, we have committed to the development of some properties where the city would actually occupy and or lease out space too. So we could vacate this area, but vacating the area, you still have, because we're currently in leased space at one of the areas that has been developed. And we're there for 10 years. And then you have one that's going to be coming online in the next couple of years that we've obligated ourselves that triggers their development as well, that will be there for a lengthy period of time. So let's measure carefully before we cut. Because again, even as Director of General Services, I agree. We looked at it every year, and we looked at the asking price because we do occupy a lot of space there. But if we're going to do so, let's make sure that we make a wise investment as well to the building.
Okay, appreciate that. Now, thank you, Chief Adams. Chief Fouché, I got some more questions. Particularly, I think it's a question that we've asked multiple times, and I just want to touch on it briefly here. Temporary staffing agencies, $386,000. Do we have a breakdown of what staffing agencies receiving what and what particular service they're providing?
Yes, I'm working on that for our upcoming personnel committee meeting. You asked for me to look at that across.
No, I'm just making sure we're going to
division.
have it. Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to have that. I'm working
But
on that.
particularly this too. One of the things that I want to take a look at is those agencies that are essentially performing HR functions. Maybe it's a way that we could scale some of them back. Because $400,000, that's a significant amount of money, and maybe we can find some cost savings here. That's all I have as it relates to this, and I look forward to the report that we're going to have at the Personnel Committee and other council members in the queue regarding this particular budget presentation. All right, seeing all hearts and minds up. At some point, I'm gonna there's literally no way for me to know.
I don't know how you can see. You can't really see that the hands are raised, I think, on this when you're up there.
We see Dr. Warren sitting right there, y'all. You look back, I'm teasing.
Okay. Well, yeah, listen, I wanted to say that Councilwoman Green is right on tap. And, I think we need to definitely add PTSD and any other mental injury to how we're doing it. So we need to be looking at how we do that.
Right. And
Thank
we
you.
agree.
Chief Fouché says she agrees, and I don't think you have anyone pushing back here, Dr. Warren. Only because, we want you to get well. But next time. Chief Fouché, you may go on to the next one.
Okay. Next up, we have our healthcare fund. So moving right along into healthcare, in FY24, we had over 14,000 covered lives on the plan. Our highlights for FY25 is that we now have a new employee health center with expanded services. We will continue to offer wellness incentives, and we are now able to offer both the select and choice plans. Our FY25 goals to remain fiscally responsible in managing healthcare spending, continue to develop and maintain a competitive total rewards program that helps us to attract and retain talent for the city of Memphis, and continue enhancing Total Rewards customer service to provide best-in-class customer service to all City of Memphis employees and retirees. So next, we'll go into our expenditures. Our FY24 adopted budget was $97,003,000. Our FY25 request is $94,421,000. The biggest increase is in materials and supplies. That is due to our new employee health center. Our claims were down $5,784,000. We thought the claims would increase after COVID, but we've had a better claims experience than expected. So we do have a net change of $2,582,000. And on the next slide, you see our program compared with spending. The $2,582,000 broken down by legal level, healthcare administration. That's where we have it increased by 16.1%. This is where we have our HRA amounts, our part-time salaries, and costs due to our consultant and actuary services with PwC. Wellness, that increase is mostly due to the clinic. The choice plan, we didn't offer that last year, so that's why you see $10,593,000. The select plan, you see a decrease in $16,996,137, and that's for the employees that move from the select plan to the choice plan. Next slide, FY25 year-over-year changes in expenditures. In personnel services, we had our full-time salaries go down by $71,000. That's due to a position correction that was funded out of the healthcare fund. We no longer have that position in our complement. We have a decrease in the health reimbursement account of $606,137, and that's for employees moving back to the choice plan. If you're on the choice plan, you don't get an HRA amount. We had a decrease in wellness incentives, and that was just due to a reduction of people on the plan. We increased our part-time salary staff to $315,000, bringing in more part-timers on to help with our overall customer service experience in the Total Rewards area. In materials and supplies, we have miscellaneous professional services. That's our employee health center, our fitness centers, professional development and consultant services. Like I said again, for a net change of $2,582,000. So with our revenue, FY24 adopted budget revenues bridge to FY25 request. We have our employer premiums. That's what the city pays. We have our pharmacy rebates, which are offered by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. What the employee contributes. Then we have the tobacco surcharge, because we do have, there is a smoker's fee for people on the plan that smoke. And then we have transfers in from the tax referendum. And this amount this is for spouses that have been added to the plan for spouses of MPD and Memphis Fire employees. At FY25 year-over-year changes in revenues, again, we have a net change of $2,582,000. We have the transfer in from the sales tax referendum decreased by $51,000. Employer premium income decreased because of employees moving back to the choice plan. The employee pays more to be on the choice plan, and then we have $1,811,000 in pharmacy rebates, and then what the employee contributes is $1,133,000, and then we had a decrease in the tobacco surcharge. division detail information, personnel information. We have in the healthcare fund, we have an authorized complement of 11. There is one vacant position, however, an offer has been made, and that person is to start June 17th. So we are at complement in the healthcare fund. Our material and supplies, major M&S expenditures, professional services is $5,074,251. Administrative fees, that's Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee administrative fees, $4,636,000. Then we have rent, all our other M&S, for a total of $10,423,039. Union extended.
Union extended and also at the
Union extended and also the clinic, the clinic on Poplar Avenue is $132,000. Yes, yes. On the next slide, we have our account details, professional services, CARE ATC, that's the new health center. Then we have PwC, who's our consultant and actuary services. And then we have fitness management services, Talkspace, staffing, Concern, EAP, for a total of $5,074,251. And this gives us a detail of our account detail leases. We have $132,000 for the clinic on Poplar, and it also Union extended for a total of $466,000. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So I know Councilman Canales in the queue, and I think Councilwoman Green's in the queue, and I know Councilwoman Cooper Sutton's in the queue. So I'm gonna start. I just want some type of clarification on the fitness management services, various healthcare wellness initiatives. Could you talk through that a little bit? And is this, are we renting the equipment downstairs, or do we own the equipment downstairs? Okay. All right, so talk me through this $414,000.
So what?
$414,000 fitness
okay.
management services and wellness initiatives. Because you can just go run outside. So talk me through it.
Pulling my sheets together. So our fitness managers, so our wellness initiatives, that goes to like various, like the person that runs the gyms that we have. Yes, we do have a person that.
Like, what do you mean by running? Because I kind of frequent it from time to time.
So yeah, so like if you want a personal trainer, he's a personal trainer.
You pay him $414,000?
No. That's just one of the services that.
Okay, so I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna make it easier because could you break this when you come back in personnel committee? Break it down how we are divvying up the $414,000, particularly who we're paying, what they do.
Okay.
Same way we did with the other.
We got the breakdown here. Okay.
So we can bring that back. I think you said you come in the personnel committee.
Yes.
So bring that back in personnel
Okay.
committee. Just
Okay.
break down the $414,000. I think that's all of my questions. I was just concerned about what are we spending that money on, and if there's some savings there. I think Councilman Canales next, then Green, then Cooper Sutton.
I'll wait.
You'll wait. Okay, Councilwoman Green.
I know you said you're going to bring back the staffing issue, and there's another $179,000 in this one. So that every time we turn around, it's another staffing thing. But and it kind of goes to my next point, which seems really petty, but I want to bring it up, which is $10,000 to Weight Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that I find a little nugget like that, it makes me wonder about like everything else that might be hiding around in budgets. Like, can somebody explain why we're spending $10,000 on Weight Watchers?
And why is it not a part of the fitness wellness initiatives?
It's okay if you don't know
Yes, it
today.
is.
I mean-
Look, the reason I'm saying that is because at the end of every one of these sheets where you break down the expenses, So this is, you got $5 million in expenses here, and at the end of all of them, every, not just you, but every division that presents, there's a line that says miscellaneous, and it's like everything else that's under 10 grand. So it makes me wonder how many other things are out there under 10 grand, because in this budget, it's not that much. It's just $90-ish thousand. But in other budgets, it's $1 million, it's $4 million, it's whatever. And so how many little things like 10 grand to Weight Watchers are we doing out there? This one just, I happen to be able to see it, so it seems like a small thing for me to pick on, but like pennies matter. Pennies matter if we don't want to have such a high property tax. So that's why I'm asking this. It's not because like I'm particularly perturbed about 10 grand to Weight Watchers. It's because I am concerned with our general like lackadaisicalness around like, oh, just 10 grand check. Like, where did that come from? Who initiated that? Why are we doing it? Et cetera.
If I may, Lynette Hall Lewis, 125 Main Street. So when you look at the grand scheme of things in regards to Weight Watchers, and you look at our claims experience, and we know that Memphis employees, unfortunately, we have some chronic health care conditions that are driven by weight. And so we have made some investments for our employees to manage their weight. And that's just one strategy that we use. And so, the value, if we can prevent somebody from becoming diabetic or having a heart attack or something like that.
Hypertension, diabetes, overweightness, it's the three main causes of death around minorities, especially in Memphis. I get it. I also know that Shelby County has multiple places where they can receive services and information on both diet and exercise for free. So maybe we could save that 10 grand and refer them out. I'm not saying it's not a bad program. I'm just saying really this is less about that and more directed at these two other gentlemen over here, which is, I know, Chief Adams is like, leave me alone. But it just speaks to, like, we're continuing to find small things like this that when we add them up over and over again, it becomes big things, so.
It could equal several cent on the tax. All right, yeah, I think I generally concur with the sentiments of Councilwoman Green. Councilwoman Cooper said, and then we're gonna come back to Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this presentation. I just have a compliment on your division authorized compliment. I see, and that's on page 30, if you want to go back to the slide, it's 30. My question is, for FY25, you have what, 11 positions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we have how many fields so far?
All of them are filled. 10, we have one starting on June 17th.
So are all of them filled?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was trying to get some money from you. Okay. I really was coming after your dollars.
No, they're filled.
They're filled.
The one that's showing vacant on here actually starts June 17th.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cooper said, and let the record reflect that Councilwoman Isha Thomas is here. Councilwoman, my bad, Councilman Canale.
I'll talk to Chief Adams offline.
Okay. All right, doesn't any other council members in the queue? All right, appears that all hearts and minds are clear. Chief Fouché, you got one more presentation, I believe.
I have one more presentation.
No pressure.
Next up, we have our OPEB fund. This is the fund that supports our retirees. OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. Yes. So first up, just wanted to kind of go over the number of retirees we have on the plan. And so in FY24, the group health insurance members was 1,886. That includes all retirees, spouses, and dependents on the plan. Then we have 2,063 private exchange post-65 retirees on the private exchange. And then we have 754 pre-65 retirees on the change. We've seen a increase of participants on the plan this year. Our FY25 goals are to offer a retiree program that provides meaningful retiree healthcare options that help us attract and retain talent for the city of Memphis, remain fiscally responsible in managing OPEB liability, provide ongoing well-being support and tools to retirees, and enhance customer service and efficiency for all benefits matters for retirees and their dependents. So next we'll go to our FY24 expenditures bridge to FY25 requests. Our FY24 adopted budget was $23,993,000. Our FY25 request is $35,174,000, which is a change of $11,181,000, and that's solely due to the increase in retirees that have been added to the plan. If you look at our program comparative spending, in OPEB administration, the FY25 request is $8,404,102. That is due to our HRA amounts, admin fees, personnel, and Medicaid Part B, and additional benefits for retirees. We also had employee retirees to join the choice plan. That's the $3,026,000. We also had employee retirees that entered the plan to choose the select plan. That's $2,148,000. And then we're contributing to fund balance $5,728,496 for total expenditures of $11,181,000. Yes. The increase is $11,181,000. Yeah, that's because more retirees are on the plan, on the healthcare plan. Yes. Yeah, that's the difference in our FY24, FY25 request. Yes, they've been, yes.
Basically.
Okay, council members. That's fine. There's people listening, and they don't know what you're saying if you're not talking to the mic. It's all good. Jeff wanted to joke in. All right, I'm done.
We're asking about, and the increase, and why, and is this a year?
Okay.
Is that better, Chairman? Thank you.
So basically, when we look at this slide here, we're also balancing our expenditures to our revenues, because this is a self-sustaining fund, the OPEB fund, just like the healthcare fund. So basically, when we look at our revenues and we compare that to what our expenditures were, we're going to basically add $6,731,000 back to the plan. So we're not pulling out of the plan, we're adding it back to the plan because your expenses are less than revenues.
It's okay. We know you're riding on that high from a victory in federal court today. You can't bring her down. All right, go ahead.
I'll come over and talk to you about
Today ain't gonna be the day. Listen, she's still, not today. Not today. All right, go ahead.
If we go over our FY25 year-over-year changes in expenditures, this just gives a breakdown of the $11,181,000. And like I said, most of it is due to more retirees being added to the plan. Yes. Yes. Okay. So next we're going to talk about our revenue. Again, we have our employer premiums income. That's what we pay our pharmacy rebates, we have what the retirees contribute. We have the tobacco surcharge for the smokers on the plan. And then we have transfers in from the tax referendum, and this is what allows police and fire to be on the retiree plan. And it's the same plan that prior to 2014. So that comes in from the sales tax referendum. And our FY25 year-over-year changes in revenues. This slide just shows the changes in revenues year-over-year. And then we have our division detail information and our personnel information. The OPEB team is a small but mighty team of 4 full-time employees, and they have no openings. All their positions are filled. Next up, we have our M&S expenditures. Our major M&S expenditures total $1,130,789 of admin fees. That's the cost for Blue Cross Blue Shield to administer the plan. We have professional services at $345,847 of rent, outside phone, and all other M&S. And then if you look at our account details, professional services, we do have staffing to support the 4 full-time employees. We have PwC, Resolute, they do our claims appeals, and then we have court reporter services for pension board, and then we have computer and equipment and legal fees for a total of $345,847. And then we do have a lease reunion extended for $21,000 for this team as well. And then the last slide just shows our MWBE utilization. In FY23, we were at 26.76%, and this year we are at 29.11. So, any questions?
Why so low?
That's exceeding what we did.
I mean,
last year.
we've operated below average for a while, so why so low?
So it's the total eligible spend for the same period. So we were thinking we were above average from last year.
I mean, okay. So here's my position. Trying to see a nice way to say it. Give me a second. If, let's say, just because we operate a certain way doesn't mean should be accepted.
Right.
And I guess my general pushback is just because we're outperforming last year doesn't mean we should be patting ourselves on the back. I think our goal should be to always excel and exceed expectations. If the expectation is 30, why aren't we aiming for higher? So generally speaking, I'm always going to push back when I see numbers, just because I think we should be able to perform better. I don't think we should just settle for slightly above the bare minimum. And I think what we've been doing for a very long time in the city of Memphis that predates my time paying attention to the politics has been the bare minimum. I think we can just do better when it comes to MWBE spend. This is just my position.
And we always look for minority.
So it's not you. It's just
but we'll
my
continue
general
to
position.
exceed our goal. We will continue to push.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear.
We will continue to push.
Absolutely. Keep pushing.
Any questions on the OPEB fund on our retirees?
Okay, so shout out to that. Mr. Clay just informed me that Dr. Warren's in the queue.
Okay.
Although I can't see you, Dr. Warren. Dr. Warren, you're recognized.
I don't know if you can see me now, but I'm on a machine. So
They told me they can see you, Dr. Warren.
Okay, good. I want to know what our reserve is coming out of the police and fire tax revenue that we passed. We've got everything's left over goes to roads and goes to pre-K. How is that shrinking in comparison to what we're paying for the current retirees? And how much less will we have for pre-K and how much less will we have for roads this coming year?
That's a chief person question about.
They told me a gentleman by the name of Chief Person is ready and eager to answer all of your questions. Dr. Warren.
I just think that's something we as a council should be aware of and think about.
Good afternoon, Walter Person, interim CFO, 125 North Main. We are on schedule to be roughly in track with the planned expenditures. We did agree, I think the council agreed to at least do $7 million for pre-K, which we are trying to incorporate in the amended budget presentation, proposed budget now. And we have funding for that. We have funding for roads based on the scheduled expenses, and they haven't had material changes in either the amounts that are taken out for, say, plan raises or healthcare expenditures for police and fire. So it shouldn't negatively impact the fund. I will say that we are spending more than we're bringing in right now, and that's just generally due to the reduction in taxes that are impacting Fund 245 or the sales tax referendum fund.
Councilman Canale asks, what's the amount? I just asked.
Let me make sure I understand. What's the total amount? What is the amount that you want to hear? I think it's roughly $80 million or so aggregate for this year.
Any other questions, Dr. Warren?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's fine. Appreciate you.
Chief, thank you as always. Y'all still going on with your presentation?
That was it.
You finished?
Yes, I'm
You sure?
finished. I'm finished,
All
yes.
right.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted, I thought you were asking for something else for the tax referendum, so I was looking for it. That's all.
We have some council members in the queue. Chief
Okay.
Boucher, Councilwoman Green.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's really important for the council to think about as we look at this in particular, that we consider these are people who gave years, if not decades, of service to our city and to the citizens that we still represent. They also live on fixed incomes. And when we are considering things like a property tax increase proposed by the mayor, they are people that are going to be impacted very directly and maybe disproportionately because they don't have another way to go out and earn more income. So I hope that, we've looked at trends over the last, I would say, decade. I've looked at trends with Chief Adams and Chief Pearson about what we've given our retirees in COLA, which is the cost of living expense. And we all know the cost of living has gone up on everything, And if you're living on a fixed income, then that's especially problematic. And we have not been keeping track with the cost of living increases, the consumer price index, or anything. When eggs are going up, when medicine's going up, when gas is going up, it affects this population, again, that spent years, if not decades, in service to our city. And so I hope that when we get an amended budget, we see some sort of plan for this population as well. I think they're often overlooked. And I'm not just speaking about fire and police, I'm speaking about all Memphis employees they've been getting like 1%, which frankly is a slap in the face. We've had almost 5% in the last 6 months in inflation. So we've got to do better. And I would like to, as we have this conversation, to be able to forecast out for our retirees what they could expect in the next year and the next year. I know every budget has to be voted on every year, but they need to have some plan and some assurance that we're going to continue to take care of them and that this is a population we're focusing on. I don't have a lot of pet projects in the budget. There are things I care about, but this is the thing that I really care about the most because I've sat in on the county side every retirement board meeting until I got elected. They're on Tuesday, so I can't go anymore. But I have watched what it means to have somebody work for 40 years and what they get, or a widower, what they get. And people are really making decisions now about their MLGW bill or their medicine because of the cost of living. So I just hope when we look at the amended budget for this in particular, we see something for our retirees.
And we have been meeting with, I have been meeting with the retirees and also working with PwC to see what we can possibly do. But we have agreed, working with ACRE and some of the other retiree groups, that we will sit down and talk with them every year before budget about what we can do.
I think that's really important. I was just at a neighborhood meeting last week, and I met somebody who was a police officer for 30 years and is on the organization you just mentioned of the retirees. And the first thing he came up and said to me was, you know, I don't know how I can afford what the mayor's proposing and continue to like keep my lights on or to buy my groceries. It's concerning to me that I might have to leave a city that I love, that I served, that I want to be in, because I can't afford it. And so that's on us, right? Mm-hmm. We have a moral obligation to make sure that we're taking care of these people in the future. So I appreciate you having those conversations, and I hope in the years to come we'll continue to have them.
So could you, I think Councilwoman Cooper said had a question, but I think her question was along the lines of, it's something we're going to need more information from. Is there a way that you could break down the type of increase that retirees receive over the past 6 or 7 years?
I have that information. I can email it to you.
Can you email it to the entire council?
Yes.
I think that's it. Let the record reflect that Councilwoman Logan has made it before you finish your presentation. Yeah, seeing nothing else from this council, Chief Fouché, thank you. Ms. Lewis, thank you as well. All right, Chief Adams, we're deciding if we want to thank you yet too, so. Library services, if you're here, you can come up. If not, we may skip over you. All right. I guess, what you say? Okay. All right, so budget hearing for library services. Since all council members are present, the floor is yours. Floor is yours. The floor is yours. I mean, you know, I can come down there and present. All right, let's reallocate funding to, no, go ahead. Interesting.
I'm Keenan McCoy. I'm the director of Memphis Public Libraries. I know all of you, so I'm grateful to be here today. And actually, I think.
And this your team?
And I'm sorry. This is Chris Marsleck, the
Chris.
deputy director. Cecilia Showers, our finance.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so,
All the way close.
yeah, there we go.
So I'm
Perfect.
Keenan McCoy. I'm the director of Memphis Public Libraries, and yes, I do know you all, so I'm so glad about that. So I did bring Chris Marzalek, who's our deputy director for Memphis Public Libraries. Cecilia Showers is our finance manager, and Jamie Griffin is our assistant director for community outreach and special projects. And I think y'all heard from him at the last council meeting, perhaps. So we're looking forward to the hearing today, and hopefully it's pretty straightforward because our division is not quite as complex as some others are. So at any rate. So in terms of our organizational chart, library services, administration, public service, and support services. Support services are the things that are sort of behind the scenes. Public service is direct service to customers, attendees, patrons, whatever you might consider. And then administration includes the director, deputy director, assistant directors, and regional managers. So that's our org chart. So we've been working on things in this particular slide for some time, and we really we're very excited because we have gotten to open Raleigh in 2020, Cosset in 2023, Orange Mound just now, and Fraser, which is coming in probably March or April 2024. So we are really thrilled about these four. Cosset, we thought that would not even rise from the ashes and many years ago, and it is thriving, as are all the other libraries. And so we do currently have 18 libraries. I do hear from some people, some council people, that they'd love to have more libraries. But right now, we're very thrilled with what we have, and Orange Mound just has so much life. And so we're really excited about the new branches. And we are really focused on diversity and inclusion. I remember when I got to Memphis Public Libraries, we were about 80% Caucasian and maybe 20% people of color. And so, we knew that was not a model that needs to work, and it's not reflective of Memphis. And so, there are lots of things that go into diversity, equity, and inclusion, but we are really intentional about making sure that we reach out to every community that we possibly can. We do now have a lot of people who are not native English speakers, and now we're about 65% people of color, African Americans primarily, and about 35% Caucasian. So we're, as we hire, we want to make sure the people we hire reflect our community. And so our staff has done a fantastic job of sourcing a lot of talent, and so I'm really proud of all of our staff, because I think everybody goes above and beyond. We just really have an incredible team. So one of the things that was a priority also is about janitorial and security, because we've definitely had a lack of, I mean, there's some deferred maintenance that exists, or maybe a lot, but we want to make sure that people feel safe and secure in every single library, all 18 of them, and we want them not to be filthy. So we want them to be, we want to have a presence of something that's really positive the second you walk in the doors at every single location, not just at the Benjamin L. Hooks branch, or library. We want people to feel safe and secure, and we do have security guards at this point, but we really are trying to, pay attention to the trends nationally and locally. So, Memphis Public Library's Connect Crew program. And I know y'all heard about that a bit, and Jamie Griffin spoke to that recently. I mean, one of your last meetings, but they go everywhere, throughout Memphis and even beyond to Shelby County, Shelby County, and we're trying to get people to have much better, educational, early literacy, the grade level reading. We did get 4 vans, and so we are sending those all around Shelby County. We do have a partnership with Shelby County for the East Shelby branch, and so we do cover that outside of Memphis as well. And so, but the Connect Crew just does outreach. A lot of people don't speak English. A lot of people, want to learn a different language, and mostly they want, early literacy is really what we are super focused on at every single location. And you'll see, and I know that I think Jamie gave y'all the information recently, just like I said in the last council meeting, but we need to make sure that we really can engage youth and ensure that they have support, and that they, if they are, if they're not included and don't feel included, they're going to walk away, and we don't want that to happen. So we really have a good thing going, I have to say, because our staff is incredible. We have lots of volunteers. We also have the Memphis Library Foundation and the Friends of the Library, both who support us with things that normally the city wouldn't pay for, just because they're kind of out of the box, or we're testing things, and they're willing to take the risk on it. And so, anyway, so we're really grateful for those 2 nonprofits, because they work 7 days a week. A lot of the people at the Friends of the Library book room, the people there come and ship things to Amazon every single day. Not like 5 days a week. These are really special volunteers. So anyway, we feel really fortunate that we do have such a great support network within, Memphis Public Library system. So in terms of the adopted budget for 24 and the request for 25, we're pretty flat overall. So, we're going from 24,543,364 to 25 million for 25, 25,172,493, more than 70%, which is salaries. Right? Okay. So, the encumbrance forward is actually, or roll forward is some books that we had encumbered the funding for, and now it'll be, it'll come over to fiscal year 25. So you have $629,000 really from the state, but that will actually, make sure that we have books that we can continue to do, even if we don't have that level of funding this coming year. potential raises, I'm not, I'm not sure what that, what that looks like. But the ADC is money that goes to pay for library retirees or library plan that predates the city of Memphis, because it used to be the Memphis Shelby County Public Library. And so this is to pay their deferred annual, defined actuarial, yeah. So there are a number of things. We did need to reorganize a number of things, and so you'll see some reductions. I don't know why I said that. Anyway. Yeah, so a number of those are reductions, but we have a lot of priorities that are important, partly the security, partly, janitorial. We've had to, make some kind of changes. And also, we have been the city of Bartlett has been funding the Bartlett Library for many years. They are no longer going to be a part of the Memphis Public Library System.
All right. So we have a library that's located in Bartlett.
Yes.
Well, we staffed a library in Bartlett through a contractual relationship.
Has it been separate?
It's a part of the Bartlett library system, and so Bartlett voted to sever ties and then start staffing their own library moving forward into the next fiscal year.
How does it impact us?
So what we've done, you will see some of the positions that will be absorbed in some of the onboarding in Melrose. And I think some of those will go back into the complement and be prepared. We are preparing to reallocate in staff in other libraries where they definitely need the staff. And then of course, you do have a new library that's being built, Frazier, correct? Yes. So we've reallocated staff and we've given staff an opportunity. Along with Bartlett has given them an opportunity. If they want to remain, they can remain there as well. Thank God our employees have chosen to remain with us. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's something that's going well, notwithstanding all the things that are being said with the City of Memphis and City of Memphis employees.
Could you speak on security as well?
So with regard to security, there were bids that were let out by several divisions, library being one, for janitorial and security services. That increase itself, and I challenged, and let me go back, I challenged the divisions to draw and create specs to reflect the locations in which these particular locations actually serve and service the citizens, understanding there may be a modification in budget. And so with that being said, we look and you see here janitorial and you have security services. When we look at trends in spending, we see that there's a possibility that there's an opportunity to absorb some of this funding through opportunities and spend in this fiscal year.
So why are we spending so much more in janitorial?
Competitive spend in the bid.
What do you mean?
The bids. So again, it's.
So we rebidded it.
We rebidded it, and it's based on our specifications and the competitive market with regard to that.
So I'm assuming, in your opinion, we receive offers less than this.
No. So again, here's the deal. You can develop a specification, and your specification can give you the bare basics, bare bones. And that's what we've been getting. This time, the citizens deserve more. We got to pay more. Now, if it's the will to cut the budget, then that's what the citizens get. But this time, we said that the citizens deserve more.
We just had a brief sidebar here that you positioned as such like a lawyer. He was making this closing argument. And no chance of rebuttal. All right, well played, sir. Well, Councilwoman Cooper said, take that back. Councilwoman Logan, but I'm not even sure you're done with your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not finished.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, y'all want to
We'll
allow?
be quick. I mean, you know. So.
Okay. We want to allow her to finish it. Councilwoman Logan, since you're first in the queue.
Oh, you should go ahead.
Go ahead.
Finish. Yeah.
And
Oh,
here will be a reflection of one of the other items of pulling out or not having the Bartlett Library, because again, through the contractual relationship, we did gain revenues for servicing and supporting as well.
All right, I think Councilwoman Swears Watch has some questions, particularly about this.
okay.
I know when we had our estate planning clinic, the one of the employees was out there picking up trash, and I noticed at one point they were even sweeping a little bit. I just wonder what would happen if we allowed or gave the employees an opportunity to receive a stipend for keeping the libraries clean. Their locations like they do at the community center. Because I think about even like over there at Glenview, Miss Linda keeps that place spotless. They have more pride when they are doing their own facility.
That's an excellent suggestion. I think we should take that in consideration. So let's do so.
Okay. All right. So usually when we make suggestions, what happens is it just, we don't even really hear back. So I would like, what would a time frame be for us hearing back on suggestions?
So what I would do
in terms
is,
of feasibility?
I understand. So what I'll do is I will charge the division to come back to you by wrap up with a cost to what within this budget neutral, to identify possibilities in which we could then create some type of bonus structure for a cleanliness, or just I'll just say like an employee bonus structure.
Yeah.
And if it does exceed, then you have to let us know as well. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll put a price structure to it.
So,
Go ahead. 'Cause
so
I'm trying
with
to.
that, the service delivery model will still remain the same as what you bid it out for, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Service delivery will not be affected by our participation in keeping our locations clean.
Okay, I know you said stipend, and I think it's a good idea to approach, but I just wanted to make sure because, when we were talking, I was glad to see that you all had upped that amount to keep the library clean, and hopefully, like, that includes the walls and the carpets and look in the meeting rooms and all of that, and the chairs, stuff like that, making sure that they're not old and, marked all up and things like that. Is that included in when you say the janitorial? Because I had noticed that as well, that it went up. That was one of the things I want to talk about, along with the computer software. 600,000 in there, and it was zero last time. 614,000.
Yes, ma'am. That is computer costs that was part of IT's cost, and it came over to our division, and it's for our Cersei, what we call Cersei Dynex, which is the vendor that provides the software that allows us to check out material, sign people up for library cards.
So that was in IT, but now you all carry that under your budget.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Historically, it's been in IT, but now
Yes,
you've
ma'am.
moved it over.
Yes.
Okay.
And
But
our internet service provider too. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Comcast.
I
is
get
part
it,
of
no
that as well.
problem. But the service delivery, that's what I'm mostly concerned about, especially the main library. One thing we talked about, and I appreciate you understanding and listening, is we have a lot of citizens who are homeless at the main library, and I literally watched some of them carry all their belongings into the library, trying to carry them up the stairs, hold them with them, tried to get their carts in the library. And so our main library, people say, well, go to the main library, go to the library. It's supposed to be our showcase. And it's just a lot going on down there, and like so there were, I'll say 5 citizens who experiencing or unsheltered who had all their belongings going in. Then one elevator was down and both escalators was down. So all of us was trying to go up and down the main library, and the elevator. And so I was like, okay, well, what if it's a fire and I'm on the second floor? There's no stairs coming down from the second floor. And we've talked about this before, but I don't know if everybody understands the sense of urgency or the liability that poses. Because if they trying to get their cart on there, or they in the elevator with the cart and it's a fire and you can't get down. So we got to rethink that entire process right there. And, they're citizens as well, but you can't bring all of your things in the library, So what are you all doing? How does this budget reflect resolving some of those issues? And in those meeting rooms, you have to really check them, because people go in there, they meet, they close doors. You don't know what they're doing in there. And it's a lot of stuff going on up in the meeting room that may not be meeting. And, they've torn up the furniture and written all over the walls. So, and I just want to understand. Now, it was somewhat clean, but not clean. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so.
And we will address the bigger picture that's coming up next in our presentation. So.
Yeah, and our CIP
The CIP budget is going to reflect all of those things right there.
We do have we built in a cover line that we'll use for repair and for maintenance issues. We do recognize our buildings are getting older. Central Library alone is 25 years old, and it is starting to show its wear. And so in our CIP presentation, we've included a request for cover line funding to address some of these issues.
So who is responsible for the risk management aspect of all of our buildings, like the safety part, like, making sure that we're compliant and safe?
So, go ahead.
Is it one department or everybody's responsible?
So, at one time, we did have uniform patrol here in this building, but the body decided that we would no longer have uniform patrol, and that's because, again, we needed officers on the street. I know that the divisions do draw a line with respect to that. And so with respect to that, all the divisions have been pushed out with developing safety plans. And of course they do, MPD has never walked away from them, but we got to now try, and that's what we're trying to do, is to develop the specifications, the flow, the understanding of what should be in this building and not in this building. It was only a couple of years ago that we had the same consumer in this building. In this building, you would go down in the lobby and you would find things in the restroom that you didn't want to find. And that's because at that time, the administration wanted to, and the body wanted to make sure that this building was open to every citizen, every tourist. And so what we had to do was we had to develop policies, procedures, and a true use for the building. And that's what we're developing now. We do coordinate with MPD to make sure that if there is a call needed, they do respond. So as we staff up and we develop more security protocol, then we'll make sure that we have that group there. Now, each division has an opportunity to contract their security services. They do. The contract is only as good as you enforce and the quality of quality of vendor that you get.
But if they have that opportunity to do that, there still should be some overarching guideline or expectation.
So that's where I went back to. You got to develop the true flow and use of your building. Why does a building exist? What business do you conduct in your building? And what behavior are you going to expect in your building?
And everybody can decide on their own?
No, they can't. Like libraries, they're not going to conduct the libraries as if we conduct City Hall or a community center. So they have developed that standard. And so that is the standard in which they are securing the buildings.
Well, I'm just responsible for or concerned about the asset at this time. You know, I'm always concerned about the people. And to me, if you put things in place, that'll help keep the people safe. But the asset right now, and I hear you saying each division can determine their own standard of excellence, or, you know, how it's supposed to be, the highest and best use of the building and all that. But at some point, we have to make sure we're protecting the asset. And what I have seen in that building is not a level of excellence that we as a city. Because I tell people that come out of town, have children, go to the main library. No, I'm not going to do that till we get that fixed.
So here's what I say as well. The one thing about it is, and it's unfortunate, not all sense is common to all man, and not all home training is the same. And you're right. So that means that
that's exactly my point.
And you're right. You're exactly right. And so they have established it. But what I'm saying is we got to make sure that we got security there, that when this young lady says, hey, young man, hey, young lady, we don't do that in this building, that she doesn't get attacked. Because as you heard director say earlier, there was fear of the staff, fear from the staff. So we got standards. We just got to empower people and vendors and enforce our contracts such that when you come in our building, you can enjoy this building to the fullest use as long as you know how to act. When you don't, you got to go. And you are exactly right. So give us time, and it's going to ramp up. But it took us a while and several iterations to get these specifications right, because I challenged them. And we'll get it right.
And includes CIT or the health navigators or some form of enforcement that understands mental health issues and that type of thing as well, or all of them, or all city employees. And that might be something we need to do if they haven't. All city employees may need to go through trauma-informed training. I think that would be good for everybody to go through that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Are you done? Okay. Just making sure.
Thank you, Chair. I yield.
All right, I appreciate you yielding me the floor back. I'm gonna keep this in my hand because sometimes people have a tendency to talk a little long. Councilman Dr. Warren, since we see you, I understand that you're recognized.
Thank you. My question was on a contract that was initially local and now it's out of state for cleaning, and is that also for security?
So let's see, I think the janitorial contract is local. The awarded contract, is that out of state?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'll say this, it went through several iterations of bidding, and, sir, it also went through a bid protest. So we have adjudicated this process and awarded accordingly.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your adjudication and your thought processes as you went forward?
I can't here, but we can talk individually, and I think the city attorney's office can share with you that.
Okay, so this was a legal issue then.
Not necessarily
my understanding that
not necessarily a legal issue, but they can help you guide you through that procurement process along with our procurement agent.
Or you
And
can
your
just call
thought
the mayor.
process on it was that you were not getting enough service, or the service was not good enough, so you moved up to get better service and you paid more for it?
So there was a term and expiration of that contract. We let out all security contracts, not just the libraries, but City Hall.
I was talking about cleaning.
Okay, cleaning as well. And so we all collectively, meaning and individually, the divisions let out the solicitation. They had an opportunity to rehire or hire those or contract with those that submitted the bid. We changed the specifications. We upgraded what we expected, and those who submitted had to price it out. And so they were reviewed. I guess I'm trying to understand what the heart of the question so I can answer your question.
I guess my question was,
Because we went through several iterations of a bid.
yeah, initially how it went out,
Yeah.
we had a local cleaner with a lower bid that had a lot of local workers, and we've let the bid out to a company that's in California, if I understand correctly. Is that right?
But I don't anticipate California company bringing in California workers. Respectfully, I would think that they would hire Tennessee workers. Right now, they met our specifications.
All right, so Dr. Warren, this is what I would suggest. I understand your concern. I think I had some similar concerns.
Yeah, I think I've got my information, Mr. Chair. That's what I needed. I'll talk to him offline.
There we go.
Thank you,
Talk
sir.
to him offline and be sure to reach out to the mayor as well. Thank you. I think they're done with your presentation. You have any more? You got a couple more slides? Any more questions on operating? Councilwoman Green. No, Cooper Sutton, Logan Green.
No. Green.
Cheryl Exors.
Okay, got yours.
You did. You got another question? Okay. All right. So Green, Cooper Sutton, Swearingen, Washington, and I think we're done.
One, I just wanted to commend you for your detail on your professional services. You gave us down to $408 for ID badges. I appreciate knowing literally where all the dollars were spent. You did mention the 2 nonprofits that support you. I am not sure that they are reflected in this budget as like any outside revenue or donations in any way.
The Memphis Library Foundation the Memphis Library Foundation and the Friends of the Memphis Public Libraries, they are just an incredible group, and they do this only for love of the library and for the community. So we have a really good thing going, and they really do, like the foundation in particular, will like test something out and risk a whole lot. And if it doesn't work, then they're okay. They're willing to take the risks. The Friends of the Libraries, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands. Thank you. But they get so many books donated. We're just falling all over books, and it's a wonderful thing. And then they sell ones on Amazon. If they are worth more than like $20 or $30 each, they'll just post it to Amazon, and then
mail them out.
We've gotten books that cost $800 or sold for $800.
Yeah, but
I can speak to it too.
Yeah.
So the funds from the foundation and the Friends do not come into our operating budget at all. They're a separate organization. Both organizations are separate, and they have their own budgets, and they fund programming, they fund special projects, but it doesn't touch our operating budget at all.
I guess my question was whether that was true or not, because I noticed in the budget book on page 131, the other revenues shows that we have forecasted for FY24 almost 1.9 million, but in FY25 we have 555,000. And I was just wondering why it's over $1 million less in other revenues. Is that okay? There's so many people that want to answer me.
Sorry.
Thank you. I'm excited that you're also excited.
Let's go back a couple of slides, and that's what we talked about with the Bartlett, the loss of the Bartlett contract.
That's all Bartlett contract.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
$1.2 million.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So now that funding will go away.
Right, I got you.
So then the $555,000 is Shelby County's East Shelby branch.
Got it. Thank you.
And they're still very active.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Cooper Sutton, I believe, next, and then.
Thank you, Chair. I defer. My questions have been answered in all of this conversation that's going on. So thank you.
JSW.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't see where we had some plans for Parkway Village. I know I must have missed it.
No, ma'am, that's in our year. That's in an out year as far as that particular library. You had one to come online this year. We have one that's gonna come online next year. We have to then plan A&E and do construction. So we have to plan. And then, of course, there's gonna be one that's going out in Southwest Twin as well.
We're working on it.
So we're working on it, but we can only build one library at a time.
So that looks like what year?
So we will talk, and when we develop our next year's budget, we will put in those planning dollars so that we start building that library.
Will they get any assistance with
and we are doing
internet
and
and
Southwest Twin is in partnership with Housing and Community Development as well as the libraries.
Oh, so they don't get anything? No internet or anything? No upgrades? They're gonna get internet?
I'm sorry.
Want me to give
They were having internet difficulties.
I'm sorry. I missed the question. I'm sorry.
Just trying to see were they gonna get any accommodations because they were they expressed internet challenges and some other.
Oh, I'm sorry. With Parkway
concerns.
Village.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. We are working on an upgrade project with our computers, public and staff computers, and we expect that to be done by the end of the year. And that will solve. We expect that to solve it's a computer problem. We've got a number of computers that are out of warranty, obsolete, and we're working on getting that replaced.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just trying to help the people.
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that together.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Swearingen Washington. It appears that all hearts and minds are clear. You go into your CIP.
So on our CIP budget, what we've requested for this year, fiscal year 20 or upcoming FY 2025, we're requesting $1.5 million from a cover line, and that would be to replace the escalators because there's so much pressure on that, and they do not work. They're 25 years old. And so they really need replacement. But we do have a total of $6.5 million over, including the next 5 years or the 5 years coming up, of $6.5 million, just because there's a lot of deferred maintenance that has occurred over the years. And I know we hear from you all about that, and we hear from the community. So this is just step one, is our request to get the escalators replaced. Yes, sir.
Any council members in the queue? Dr. Warren, are you in the queue? All right. So Councilwoman Cooper Sutton, you in the queue, and then we will go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And I know we talk about a lot of deferred maintenance that's happening in this city a lot. And just want to make sure that we have a good service agreement when we get these escalators fixed and continual maintenance. That's just like to me, and I just can't understand how this city has allowed this for this many years for us to get in the state that we're in. And I'm gonna say what they won't say. If you got a car and it says 5,000 miles or 6,000 mile oil change, and you decide that you're not going to service your vehicle, what are you gonna get? Problems. You're going to get a bad motor, transmission, and a lot of other things that are going to happen. So I hope that this council and this administration, the mayor and all, when we finish with all this budget, that our deferred maintenance will be up to part, and we will continue to look at it as we should, as if we will look at our homes and things that are important to us, our teeth, our health, things that we take care of. This is absolutely ridiculous. Nothing to you, and I thank you because you have really listed, I appreciate it. But this deferred maintenance, and I was just talking about to Councilman Spinoza, we was just at Benjamin Hooks, and just to see all that tape around the escalator at that very nice facility with all those very nice things there, and the escalator is not working. And the last time I was there, it was making noise, like that, and it was not quiet in the library for people to do their studying and things like that. So this is a PA announcement for the entire city of Memphis with deferred maintenances. We will not ever again be here again without deferred maintenances. We're looking at everything across the board. So we need to be better stewards over the money and over things that need to be taken care of. I yield the floor. Thank you, Chairman.
You heard what she said. That's right. All right, it appears that all hearts and minds are clear. Thank you all so much. I don't know how to work this thing. So there's that.
Colleagues, You don't want to miss this one. No, we will not open the floor to any questions. This is a closed meeting. I don't know if you call the roll, do you? Chief Hyman? Chair Smiley?
Hello. Hello, colleagues.
Nice to meet you.
I'm JB Smiley, 125 North Main, 5th floor, Chairman's office. I'm here with Ms. Hyman.
Thank you so much for having us today present our budget. Let me know when you're ready for us to begin.
It's all her. I'm just here to hang out.
So we'll start off with our organizational chart. It includes our chairperson going down to our chief administrative officer and 2 deputies. We have our own legal division now that reports directly to the chair. And if you can see, there's a dotted line from all the council members to the staff because everybody works for everybody here. This includes the increased service level that we received last year. We now have 18 full-time positions and 13 part-time positions. We have 1 vacancy that we'll get to later. So this, going into next year, the chairman and the vice chairman determine our strategic priorities for this year to be an increased engagement, a fiscally responsible budget, constituent services, and Memphis-centered legislative priorities. So our bridge request is, this is gonna highlight some of the things that are different. If you'll go to materials and supplies, that's our main change, the $350,000 transfer in. Guess we do need security.
I don't know what that was. Okay, we can go.
It wasn't an issue?
I don't know. A lot of
Okay. So
being done with budget hearings. It
okay.
sound like a scream.
I thought somebody said I need security. Yeah.
It sound like a scream. Okay.
Well, we had 1 large transfer in, it's $350K, and we are waiting on an influx of ARPA funds that was approved in April of 2024 of 180. 30,000 of that we learned today from Mr. Compton and the financial division is going to be paid out. The remaining amount is going to be for the public safety consultant that was approved. We have an encumbrance roll forward of 343 that's mainly housed in our legal contingency. Next slide. So for our comparative spending, it again includes, so last year's budget, total funding budget was 361,031. This year we have a decrease/increase of 5.3%. We'll get into how it looks a little more, breaking down the personnel and materials and supplies. On this slide, you'll see most of our increase was in personnel, which was properly budgeted for what we have. Where we had a lack of foresight is in our materials and supplies. We're taking on that amount of new staff. We have expended a lot more funds this year because last year they did not take into consideration the transition of new members, which includes getting new computers, a larger staff, and just an increased expense. So we did make a request. I put a note at the bottom. The council impact fund, a few members have asked me about that. That was removed in the FY24 and FY25 budget, but I heard you loud and clear, so they would like to fund this initiative. So see what happens and wrap up to get you a council impact fund, but it is not included in the budget that is before you today. So our net change in our budget between 2 years is 178,933. That does take into account, I just want to be clear, parentheses are negatives. So those are things that were removed from the budget, and the numbers without parentheses are increases. But I want to call your attention to the 393 at the top and the 450. It basically washes out because we increased our ISL by $450,000 last year to accommodate additional staff, and that number has been baked into the budget moving forward. We've also increased our computer equipment because it was old, and we have been changing them out, as well as some increases in materials and supplies. I did make a note, the travel budget has gone down by $10,000, but I don't know what you guys will do in wrap up. We are near the limit of that budget. So we requested an increase, but based on the time, I understand that the finance team made a decision to decrease it, but we've now gotten closer to that budget as the year has rolled on. And then next slide, we don't have any revenue. But we have 32 people in our complement, which leaves us one vacancy. I added a note in the portion about decreasing personnel. We do have one vacancy. Our personnel has been decreased by 150,000, and that might prevent us from being able to fill that vacancy. So again, I have no idea what you will do in wrap up, but there has been some interest in having more communications driven work in the office, and that is what that vacancy was intended to do. So, coming to our major M&S expenditures. Our professional services portion is $400,000, which is what it was last year. Our legal contingency is $150,000. Travel expenses $68,150, which I let you guys know we requested $85,000. It was decreased based on the use at that time. Since the time those numbers were ran, we've had National League of Cities and additional things coming up, as well as I know that there is an interest to go to visit the crime lab. So those are things that have not been expended this year that will definitely take us all the way to the very tippy top of our budget. Seminars and education, we've done very well. Outside supplies, the rest of our M&S comes to about $72,000. That includes various things. There is an increase in catering based on the number of people that we have in the office, from 20 to 25,000. Oh, it's stuck. It's stuck. I'll give it a second. It just, it paused. Hold on, it's coming back on. I know, right?
Okay, that's not it.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
So our account services, our largest, I put the community impact fund on there because it's zero. Again, I have no idea what you'll do in wrap up, but that is not included in today. But our lobbyists to help us with the Memphis Center priorities is Jigsaw. We are increasing our communication. Spotlight Production and the Worlds Group are providing that service. Spotlight Productions has been producing our chairman's recaps, and they are available for one event per council member.
Please use them.
Please use them. Let your staff know, and we'll get them booked if you have a community event that you would like to have recorded or streamed or commemorate in any way. They are available to do so. The Worlds Group helped us organize, along with our analyst Charity Cole, the day at the hall, including getting all the registration in, running our point of logistics with her. So we've had very good use of having them. They've also been working with us on our social media engagement, which has been way up. We get a weekly report of our mentions and our engagement, and they are steadily increasing, and that's in response to the work of the Worlds Group.
And as it relates to the Worlds Group, I think at least half of the members have started recording videos. I think the first one went up today of Councilwoman Green, and I know we have, I think Councilwoman Issa Thomas coming up soon. And Vice Chairman Canale stated emphatically that he is eager to record his video, his day in front of the camera.
We can have you scheduled on Tuesday. So one of our other larger projects that is a part of constituent services and just Memphis Center legislative priorities, we've the Munico project. Our system online is not our original system, and so we are working with that group to go through and recodify our entire code. I like to ask people for money and work, so I've also asked the legal division for their assistance because they have a need for having an online system. That's another thing that we want to use for next year, is creating a searchable online system for our codes and our ordinances and resolutions as they're passed.
And I do think we need to go back to Memphis Academy of Civic Engagement. That is a zero as well. I think, I think in the past couple of years, that's been a council-funded initiative. This particular year, it's still gonna go on. It's just gonna find a nice landing place in the mayor's budget. So
it will be moved to and funded by the executive division. So, and the council will be requesting for it to be rolled over for legal contingency and the Munico project to continue. The final line is our various catch-all framing, special goods services, subscriptions. Though that's the last portion that we have on there. And here's our MWBE spend. There you go. Here's our MWBE spend. All right. Are you ready for any questions you have?
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Colleagues, the chair and I deemed that this budget to be without flaws, so we don't see a need for any questions. Oh, y'all have questions? Okay. Councilwoman Logan, followed by Councilwoman JSW and Cooper Sutton.
Can you explain again about the impact fund and the amnesty program?
Yes. What page are you on, Councilwoman?
Just in whatever pages, page 7. No, I'm just saying if you could tell me what you were saying about.
Previously used the council impact fund. We started the Munico project with some funding from there. We have funded and provided services to, the homeless, the unhoused shelter down the street with Jared Bingham. And it has run between like 250 to 400,000. So we use those funds. I know Councilman Logan was interested in the AMC program. That's why we haven't done it. We didn't have any money. We used that funding during MLK. I think it was 300,000, and we used those funds to pay off people's expungement fees and their driving on suspended fees. So how we set it up was anyone that was on drive while you paid through the city court clerk, we would send them out a notice to let them know how much they owed. We had events. And for the amnesty for the diversion is when you have, for first-time offenders, it's a way for you to get it off your record and not have it follow you. And so people that had successfully completed diversion, meaning they finished out the probation, done all the requirements, but their only barrier to getting it off their record was money, we'd get the clerks to give us the amount that was owed, and we'd send out notices saying, hey, you've been invited to come to this. And so we'd have events. The clerks would come. We started off with the General Sessions Court clerk, but the criminal court liked it, so they came as well. In the end, I think the Public Defender's Office would send us a list of their clients that had it. So it just grew and grew and grew, and then COVID happened, and we stopped having the council impact fund and stopped having the engagement sessions. But I know there is a desire to start those again.
So you're putting...
Then that's also how we originally funded the MACE. It came out of the Community Impact Fund. So it's for ideas that you have that can boldly impact the community. I think we even early on put a little money to pre-K, the shelter amnesty program, the Municode. So together as a council, they usually give us an idea and we use those funds to make it come true.
And we're putting that back in for this.
Well, it's not in our budget, but in wrap up, you may do whatever you like.
Okay.
Whatever council deems necessary.
Yes.
All right.
So nothing that we see here essentially is set in stone. The council always has the purview to amend or to add on or to reduce.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's been increased requests to the chair regarding, extra activities so that councils can go learn more, potentially participate in several conferences so they can, brainstorm with their colleagues from across the country and learn best practices. But, right now, as it relates to what's in the budget, seems like it's only one trip per council member unless we do something different. And I know that councils in the past, majority of the members did not travel. But I know that this council has been more inclined to travel and participate in some of these conferences, whether it's for, implementing best practices or just generally networking with their colleagues to figure out how we can work together with people from across the country. So it may be something this body wants to consider going forward. Absolutely.
If you want me to, I'll give you a cliff notes of what we could use a little help on. I don't mind.
But we need a question. Somebody ask us a question. There we go.
Well, there's a series of notes in your presentation that kind of highlights some spaces where we might need some assistance. our personnel was decreased, but if there are the desire to continue to grow our communications is there, we would want to keep that the same so that we could potentially hire someone in that vacancy that we have. Also, travel was reduced, and with members wanting to travel, we are painfully close to the end of that with more requests than we can accommodate. And I think it's important for Memphis and for our leaders to be able to go see what's happening elsewhere. And so the conferences aren't just like, they're really great workshops. I went to one and we talked about the downtown waterfront, I want to say, in Minnesota or Ohio. And so some of those ideas, members that went there took those ideas to Memphis River Parks and made suggestions and brought those things, hey, can you call this person? So I think it's beneficial for us to allow members to travel and see what else is there. MACE is a lovely program that we've had now, I think, Mayor, 6 cohorts. And so they run between 20 and 30 people. So that's, 180 citizens that have a much better understanding of how government works and ways to engage. And I think even within the MACE cohorts, we have employees, we have people that want to run for office. And so those are spaces we might need some assistance.
And I think there are some other areas, particularly as it relates to, the fact that we've expanded, there's more staff. I think there may be a note that talks particularly about, the food budget. So pay particular attention to all those things. I think the notes are really, really good to pay attention to. If you're concerned about, raising the floor for the legislative division.
You done? Councilwoman Logan?
He said the notes were really good.
Pay attention to the notes.
You finished with your? Oh, okay. Councilwoman Janice Swearingen, Washington.
Yes, thank you. I wanted more clarification about the open position. Would that be a communications person as opposed to a legislative analyst?
The goal was to hire someone in communications, but it is a vacancy that we could adjust the job description fitting for whatever needs the council has. That has been a larger request that we've received. That's what the vacancy was intended for.
We're not gonna have to double up again, are we?
No, because we'll also this afternoon be posting a vacancy for a position that's open. That won't count against us. We have one vacancy outside of the analyst vacancy that was announced at the last meeting.
We got another vacancy.
Yeah, so in addition to the communication role that is still unfilled, we do have contractors that are currently helping with that in that area. So it's not an immediate need for this body, but what is immediate need is the vacancy that Chief Hyman just mentioned as relates to an analyst.
Oh, okay.
An analyst. We are filling the analyst role with an analyst.
Okay, good.
If we double up, it will be short-lived.
We need 13 in our communications department.
One more question. One more question, Coach, Vice Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know what rubric we're using to see the effectiveness of Jigsaw.
Well, Councilwoman Swearingen, Washington, I think you would be the rubric of if you're happy with what you're receiving in your services. They're very responsive when asked. I do think it's incumbent upon the staff, and we'll work on that to make sure we utilize them in the spaces where they're necessary. I can say, not just because her name is Brooke, but Brooke from Jigsaw is a fixture on the Hill. So if you have any questions that are going on, she can get it to you lickety split. And she is known there, so when she moves in a room, it moves with some volume.
Absolutely. She literally has a makeshift office in the floor of the Capitol that every elected person knows exactly where to find Brooke. Like literally, okay, I'm gonna go to Brooke and she will be in a corner where everyone knows. So I think there's particular members that are effective among the Jigsaw team, but this may be an area we can consider doing something, more. We can find creative ways to use them. It doesn't necessarily have to be at this particular number. I know where you're getting at, Councilwoman. So it doesn't have to be at this particular number. It's the will of the body. And to quote Chairman Jones, in the absence of Chairman Jones in budget season, You know, with 7 votes, we can move City Hall to Carterville. So just be mindful as we are contemplating this budget.
The other thing is with our travel, it's very important for us to be able to go to conferences. And if I had to choose between the professional development of the council and MACE, I would go for the professional development of the council.
We did as well. That's why we asked and moved MACE to a different division, and the mayor and his team so graciously accepted.
That's just wonderful.
Isn't it? It's just one big happy family.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Cooper Sutton.
Thank you, Chair. You all did say pay close attention to the note. So on page 5, I'm looking at the note of the authorized complement for the legislation division is 32 and the reduction. But my question I want to ask is the opera fund, the 180,000 that's pending, and I think, and I just want to make sure, correct me if I'm wrong, it's for a consultant approved. Is that for the consultant that we're looking for our
public safety task
force? So
yes,
what we're going to do with the money we took from the library? You took 150,000 out of the library as well for that as well.
That's the transfer I'm referring to.
So that's it.
Yeah, in April 2024.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I get
that those are the
clarification.
funds. Yes,
and our grant that the council do every year for how much is that?
At this point in time, it's 0. But if this body desires and wrap up, you could resurrect the council impact fund. And the grant funding is not within our budget. It's in the administrative. It's in the grants and subsidies section. It's just a council community impact fund.
Well, yes, yes, CFO. You can. Oh, okay. Well, okay. It's just it's included. It's where is
in
it
the
found?
grants and subsidies section. There's a city council community grant program. Right now, the line item is
Walter Person, interim CFO, City of Memphis. Typically, it's about, or at least recently, it's been about 250,000 per council person. Right, so it's 3.25 million total.
3.25.
And it's in grants and subsidies, as the esteemed CEO has mentioned.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief Person.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councilwoman Green.
Thanks, Chair. I want to go back to Jigsaw.
Okay.
It looks like it's about 10,000 a month.
That-
We know that they are not. She just turned her mic off. You can leave it
I'm
on.
so used to turning the mic off.
Let the lady talk. We know they're not in session 12 months a year, so I appreciate the remark about her office on the floor, but that floor is not open all the time. And I'll be frank with you, you know, we've had talks about going to see the crime lab. I would love to combine it with, you know, us going up to the Hill and us lobbying for the things that we care about. That would be, to me, a better use of those resources than Jigsaw. I appreciate the emails, the updates, but I can also like check Twitter and see what crazy things my state legislature is doing. I haven't seen them advocate for us. I also will say that, you know, when they came to present to us, I found it incredibly problematic that there was not a single person of color in their staff, and they're representing the blackest city in America. I say that as a white woman. I understand who they're speaking to, but I don't believe that they have a good connection to us to be able to represent us there. So I'm just not sure they're the right fit.
Yes.
And in the meantime, I know some people who are really good advocates for Memphis. They sit up here. And a travel budget to, you know, get us a shuttle or to pay for our gas to go back and forth, I'd be much more willing to pay for that in the budget than continue lobbying with no results.
Understood.
Well, to channel Budget Chair Carlisle, bring all of your requests
Sharing it with my colleagues.
to budget wrap up. But, you know, just make sure you know what areas are of particular concern for you.
Michael and Easter Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Councilwoman Green said what I was thinking. Well, I guess what we discussed before we both raised our hands for the queue. Yeah, Jigsaw, I think this has been brought up the last 2 years. And when I have talked with state legislators, a lot of them do not say that they even have contact with Jigsaw. And then seeing as though we do not have much help regionally with the commission, with the school board, with other legislative entities, and that state legislation only lasts 4 months, maybe. It seems as though we would better put some of that money elsewhere. And to echo with what Councilwoman Green said, I've definitely been advocating for us to go on the Hill. Yeah, we're the only body that doesn't go. We need to make sure we do that. And I'll say that something, we got other costs like those two that we got to find for. But out of Jigsaw reduction, possibly, when we're having, this is something small but something impactful, but when we're all having like our town halls or our different events, having something we can pull from about like cases of water, bags of chips, something is helpful. And that's small, minor, but it's something that we all do throughout the year. So usually we go into our own pockets, which is fine. But we don't have, right? I'm used to that, going through my own pockets, but not having one penny out of here to spend anywhere as council members. We need to start looking at it in the years forward to more autonomy with individual district members. So thanks, Councilwoman Green, for bringing that up.
I think that would be a really good idea to create a space where people have an equal amount to pull from throughout the year.
Councilwoman White, since you haven't asked a question yet.
Thank you.
She did.
I got you. I was looking, it's not in the presentation, but I wanted to ask about the difference in our FY24 adopted budget of $727,000 and then the FY24 forecast of 1.4 million. And it looks like the things that doubled were legal contingencies, outside phone communications, and then miscellaneous professional services. It was like 400,000 budgeted, but it ended up being 830,000 for the FY24 forecast. And I think for the legal contingency, 150,000 budgeted, but now the forecast is 375,000. And then there was one more that was double. So I don't know if you all were able to speak to that.
Yes, I'm trying to find the page with the note. I spoke about it earlier. There was a transfer in of $350,000. That was.
That's not right. Is that right?
Excuse me, Chairman.
Oh, thought I was supposed to be up there speaking.
So no, it's right. So Chief Ford transferred $350,000 into our account. We were unaware of the transfer, and that was nothing that was done by the council. So that was, I know it says council approved budget revision, but that was actually not approved by the council.
Y'all know.
So in December, watching the budget is something that's also a responsibility for me to do. So we noticed that there was a $350,000 shift in our budget. We reached out to the CFO to get clarification. We did not receive it. The council presented a resolution to amend that and get clarification on why it was done. And then we did receive an email saying that she used our budget as a pass-through for a grant request that had been approved by the council close to the end of the fiscal year. So in order to make it happen, she used our account as a pass-through. So that is the $350,000 change that you see in our materials and supplies, as well as, so that's the change. The 343 is a rollover. I mentioned that we roll forward our legal contingency when there's excess because it fluctuates from year to year. And so we are able to roll that forward, and as well as the Munico project, I think has about $50,000 left in it that we will roll forward. So those things are the roll forward contingency. It also includes, at the end of the year, you have to do encumbrances for any time for computers and all that kind of stuff. So those are roll forwards, but the biggest change was the $350,000. We didn't see it. It was a pass through. It just appeared on our expense. Yeah. But we didn't get to use it. It literally passed through. So it just changed the overall funding budget amount, but we didn't touch it.
Okay, so with all due respect, I just wanted to kind of add a little color to the CAO's comments. Again, it's Walter Person. So last year during this process, this body approved a $350,000 grant to the Works, I believe, was the entity that received the grant. Now, there was some debate over where that grant should be housed. And during the process, I can't speak one way or another as to how that debate ended up, but it was initially housed in the City Council division. I believe at that time, Chairman Jones expressed some dismay about it, and I think Chief Ford did. The previous CFO said, okay, I agree, it shouldn't be housed in City Council. So then it was moved via this body to the grants and subsidies area, where it was eventually expended. A lot of times, if you see our quarterly reports, you'll see the adjustment for that $350,000 there. So that was kind of a little bit more background around what the CAO was referring to. Ma'am, did you end up getting it back?
No. We didn't.
It's not our money.
So essentially, you know how you like, it's not laundering money, but like it just passed through. So in order for the expense, it was so close to the end of the fiscal year. No. It's just a pass through. We didn't ever touch the money.
It wasn't our money.
Yeah.
It's not our money.
It was a grant to the Works, but it was close to the end of the fiscal year. So in this fiscal year, she added $350 and then pulled it immediately out and sent it to the Works.
Yes.
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 But that accounts for the big change in the budget. That's why we had to put a note on there. So it doesn't, so we didn't spend any of that $350. It was.
They put it in an account, took it out.
Took it right out and gave it to the Works.
Not our money. So the moral of the story is not our money.
A pass through. Yeah. But we did not spend the extra $350,000. It went directly to the Works as a grant. As requested.
Works Inc.
Well, I was not here when that happened, but the Works Inc. is a community development organization. I think the project was to fund some improvements in the Parkway Village area and Whitehaven, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
I can get you more detail on the Works, but this body was the one that actually suggested and approved the grant. But I can get you more detail on exactly what they do.
That was at the end of last fiscal year.
Dr. Warren, wherever you are out in the ether.
Dr. Warren, we do love you.
Coming, man. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to comment on our lobbying comments earlier. I agree that we need to be up there more. We need to spend funds to do that. But there's also in lobbying people who really don't have our best interest in heart. It is, I think, in my opinion, good to have some people that at least can get us through the door and know those people and know what's going on. I think Jigsaw's got a couple people that are like that and can help us. And hopefully they're going to hire some African Americans next year so they'll look like Memphis. But as we move forward, I think we should be mindful that it's really hard to get into some doors and actually have people listen to you up there because some people up there think Memphis is the problem, and they're there to fix Memphis problems.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Warren.
I concur with your sentiments, Councilman Warren. I think they do provide some benefit, but I'm not sure if the benefit reaches $120,000. So I just think we have to be, more. I think we have to be diligent in how we spend
I
our
agree,
dollars.
Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
All right. Swearingen Washington, Logan, Cooper Sutton. Okay.
Vice Chair.
Councilwoman Logan?
Well, I was just going to concur with the sentiment about Jigsaw. I think they're very necessary in East Tennessee because they don't, on the Hill in East Tennessee and all up there, because they know most of the people on the Hill. We do need to go. We don't need to pay them that much. We need to kind of have a medium, but we definitely need people on the Hill that speak the language of those that are on the Hill, and making sure that we hold them to the carpet of diversifying their firm and reducing how much we pay them.
So at the end of this process, we have that money allocated. It's a contract. If you guys desire to seek out other things, as we will be doing with our public safety consultant, we can look at options that do or do not, or a combination of inclusion for Jigsaw.
But I think whoever we get, they need to be very familiar with the people on the Hill and the practices and the language and the culture there, and know who we are and what we expect and respect that and work for us. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure they're doing that. And maybe sometimes spot check, see who up on the Hill have they met with, and then follow up with them on their interactions with them, and did they represent us well? So quality control on that part. Thank you.
We can do that.
Councilwoman Cooper Sutton.
Thank you. My ask is to make sure moving forward, for my next couple years that I'm here, that no pass-through is made again without our knowledge. That's the first thing. And the second thing, as Councilwoman White and I was discussing here, we're still $360,000 over budget for FY. Yeah. If you take the 350, so just explain that, we new kids, just explain to us. So, we're just asking because we want to be good stewards over everything, not only just everybody else's, but make sure we're good steward handling our business as well.
So also, if you go to, I think it's page 6, those, like I said, the things in parentheses are reductions. So last year, our increase, we received $350 as a pass-through, and after the budget, in the process of changing it, $450 was added for personnel. So that gets us to where our overages are. So the $450 in personnel was added for the increased service level, and that's on page 6, and the pass-through. So that equals up about $800,000, which is why our funding budget is not in alignment, because we had a $450,000 increase in personnel services and $350 in materials and supplies. That is.
I think you were here during the transition when we started adding more staff, so council members can go one-to-one. That's essentially what
Yes.
And I don't.
But what you'll see is this year, that's what I was explaining. This year, that increase of $450 is baked into the budget in our in our personnel services.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
We don't plan on changing the council.
Councilwoman Swearingen, I would never not change that. I know how you feel about that. Thank you, Chairman.
Any other questions, colleagues? Very well done, Chair and Ms. Hammond.
Thank you.
Chief Adams.
She made.
You're not allowed to ask any questions. Neither are you, Chief Person. We're